Hello, everybody. My name is Master Chen.
My name is Lex.
I'm Vic.
And I'm Richard Satchel.
And you are either watching or listening to episode 207 of Greynoise. Today, we're going to be very science-y, and also we're going to be calling a lot of people out apparently today. We'll get into that. It is Friday night, 7:30 p.m. at the Sin Shop. So that address is 1075 American Pacific Drive, Suite C in Henderson, Nevada. Go to sinshop.org for information on us. We are still the Las Vegas Valley Hackerspace. And for information on what we do here, we'll go to meetup.com/sinshop. I haven't even had a sip of whiskey yet. At least not in the last hour. And for information on us as a podcast, go to Greynoise, GREYNOI.SE. All right, we do have a couple of announcements, so let's get right into it. Satchel, we had a couple from one of our patrons there.
That's right. We have a couple of announcements from our friends at I3 out in beautiful downtown Detroit. The grant is officially live for real this time at iDetroit.org /grant. I read what it says in the text. Which will help I3 Detroit which will help I3 Detroit expand, build new infrastructure, and serve our community better with new tools and capabilities. So again, that is iDetroit, DETROIT.org /grant. Also, Maker Faire Detroit is this weekend, so if anyone is in the area, please come and say hi. And I3 Detroit collectively wishes Chen good luck and safe travels at DEF CON this year.
Oh, cool. Thanks everybody out there. In fact, we'll probably ask this in live chat, but I'm wondering how many people are going to DEF CON from I3? Did they say? Are any of them coming out? They'll let us know.
What's that?
I thought they had canceled it for real.
No, they didn't really cancel it. Oh, okay, so we got to...
Yeah, they did.
And everything.
Yeah, we even have a party about how it's canceled, and we're still trying to figure out how to. Okay, so since that's the next announcement, let's talk about DEF CON just for a little bit. So DEF CON, for those who don't know, is the hacker conference that will be here in Las Vegas in about 2 weeks. I am speaking at the Recon Village on Friday morning at 11 a.m. So if you want to go to that talk, be there or be oblong. I don't know, but just be there. But not just for me.
There are children present.
Thank you. There's going to be a lot of things going on. In fact, I think, Vic, you're going to be helping out with the Hardware Hacking Village?
Right, Hardware Hacking Village. Sin Shop always chips in there. We take most of our soldering gear and we set up a location, and some of our members are there to assist in helping people learn how to solder.
Yep.
Nice.
I learned how to solder there at DEF CON 2 with the hardware hacking. It was the Darknet badge.
Right, the Darknet badge and all the how do we say shitty add-ons, SAOs?
Shitty add-ons. I hate those surface mounts, but that's a different story.
Everybody hates surface mounts. That's why we put them into the construction kits, because nobody will do them unless we do that.
God, yeah.
Not bad.
No,
it's not bad. It's just I don't like doing them. It
Depends on if you have like an air gun, then it's cake.
Yeah, little air gun. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't have that, and so my hands shake with or without alcohol. Ooh. So these surface mounts, I had to redo them.
They tombstone on you.
Yeah, exactly. Those little buttons. God damn it. Lex, have you ever soldered anything, or have you tried, or?
I will soon, because I'm working on my bass guitar, and I've got all the electronics on the side, and I need to figure this out. So it might happen next week.
Cool. Awesome.
I'm probably gonna lose my shit, but
it's not that bad.
We'll run you through it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the cool thing about the Hardware Hacking Village, though, is that there are people there, or not just the Hardware Hacking Village, but people here at the shop, too, right?
Yep.
We're here to help, and if you know what you're doing, as I don't, but if you guys know what you're doing in the 3D printing space and laser cutting, and, we have people here who can help you.
Yep.
So, yeah.
You bet.
All right, so let's get into a little bit of the stuff that we wanted to talk about today. This story comes to us kind of recently, actually. We were talking about this right before the show, and we are talking about food delivery services. Of course, this is technology related because it is revolutionizing the way that we do deliveries, of course. You have, for instance, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Postmates, all these types of food delivery services. And now we find out that there's a bad and evil, dark truth to them.
It turns out that some corporations are screwing over their workers.
Yes, and we have Satchel here with the details.
So basically it works like this. A company will promise one of their drivers a certain amount per hour. Let's say it's $10 per hour, right? If they, for whatever reason, don't make that $10 an hour in their delivery fees, the company will then pay them extra in order to cover the difference. So if they only made $4, then the company is going to give them $6 for that hour. Okay, the problem comes in if you tip them $5, that $5 comes out of the $6 that they were going to give them. Now, you should never do math on TV. I just violated that rule. But basically, the long story longer, if you tip someone from a couple of different companies, then that doesn't actually go to the driver. That goes to the company. So now, fortunately, this is fewer companies now than it's not every single delivery company, and we've actually found the big offenders. But if you guys want to weigh in first, I'll come back to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can I ask a question? I don't understand this. The company ensures that you're gonna make $10 an hour.
Yes.
What's this? How do they ensure? Like how do you not make this money or how?
Well,
Okay.
so that kind of speaks to the point that I was going to make with Postmates, which, as we know in the list, Postmates is not one of the companies that does this.
One of the good ones.
One of the good ones. So I have a couple of family members who deliver for Postmates, and so they don't actually have an hourly fee.
Right.
What they do is they turn on the app, and then as they're driving around or as they're hanging out at like a park or a library or whatever, wherever they hang out, if libraries are a thing anymore. But I know. Sorry, librarians.
I knew you were stepping in.
Yeah, I know. I'm stepping on toes here. No, so they'll turn on the app and then they'll get pinged as new deliveries come up. So it's not like an hourly thing. It's just at least with Postmates, it's a per delivery. So you get a delivery fee that should hopefully cover gas or whatever and the delivery and all this. And then on top of that, you would then have your tip. So it's not an hourly thing. Again, that's just Postmates. So
Yeah. Well,
That's
but
probably
they all
why
work similarly.
right.
But
So,
so-
let's say a delivery comes in, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, I will give you $3 to go get food from here and take it over there.
Okay.
Okay? If you get enough of those, then great. You've made $10 in an hour and all your tips are yours to keep.
Okay.
But if you only get one in that hour, then you only get $3.
Okay.
Okay? So that's not sustainable.
But who sets the $10 an hour? Is
That-
it
that would be the
law
company.
Or?
That's the company.
So the company tells you when you sign up, we ensure that you're gonna make that amount of money if you work for us.
Yes.
Okay.
While you have the app open and while you are taking deliveries.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not 40 hours a week by any means. It's
No.
while you have that
No,
open.
it's definitely a part-time thing.
Yeah.
So we have bad news here.
So if you only have one delivery in an hour and you only get, let's say, $3, right?
Okay.
Then the company will give you an extra $7 to counteract that to get you up to 10, right?
Okay.
But the problem is that if someone tips them, if that $3 an hour delivery guy
Yeah.
tips the guy $5,
Yeah.
right? Now that driver has $8. And some of these companies will only give him, DoorDash I think is one of the bad ones. DoorDash will only give that guy $2 now.
Instead of $15 if okay.
Yes.
We're doing all the math on the show right
Yeah,
now.
I know. That makes us really
Science.
boring. But so the point is that some of these companies are being assholes, and when you tip, you think you're tipping the driver, but you're tipping, in this case, DoorDash.
Yeah.
So you're giving your tip money to the company, not the driver.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's bullshit.
So we do have a list of services that do this. We do want to put them on blast because that sucks. That's a horrible thing to do.
So the ones so we've already covered DoorDash. They do keep it and screw them for it. The number 2 is Caviar. Who didn't see that coming? That Caviar would be screwing over its workers.
Know that Caviar was a service. I've never heard of it
It's
before.
mostly back east.
Oh, it's
is
like
that
back
right?
east thing. Okay, so it's like
Okay,
New York,
so-
I guess Chicago, maybe.
Probably in Detroit. But so yeah.
Oh yeah, Detroit family. Do we have anybody who uses Caviar? Or would you maybe stop now?
Yeah. Well, no, you can keep using them.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Just tipping cash, which is basically like stop using them, because I never have cash.
So it's funny because when I was in Vietnam, I could use Uber.
Yeah.
And back then, they already offered the option of tipping in cash.
Mhm.
But in France and in the US, back then, you couldn't do it. But
They
now,
just wouldn't let you. Like they'd
like
refuse
they wouldn't offer it on the app, which was super weird.
Oh,
but
okay.
in Vietnam, we could tip, like we could say on the Uber app that we had tipped in cash,
Mhm.
which maybe it's stupid. I don't know.
Hmm.
But or you could pay in cash as well.
Okay.
You could say you paid in cash.
Well, but I mean, you can't really. I don't know how that would even work through the app, because if you're handing a guy a $5 bill, then
It was not the tip; it was the pay in cash. Sorry, but in
okay.
that case, you could just give them tips. Like this is what I
here,
used
have
to do.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't give me the cash back.
Right.
Yeah.
So number one, though, of course, surprising no one, Amazon. Amazon Flex keeps their freaking tips.
See, again, I didn't know that Amazon had a food delivery service. There's so many out there. I've only been using like Uber Eats, Postmates. I've used Grubhub before.
I think Flex delivers like Amazon Prime now and that stuff too.
And what's your grocery store?
Oh, Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, yeah, they
Yeah,
do
yeah.
deliveries from Whole Foods as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, it makes me question like tipping through any app.
Yeah.
You know, it's go Starbucks. They always like if you buy through the app, they say okay, you got like 15 minutes to tip if that's what you want to do. And
Oh,
so
right,
then
right.
They'll remind you.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, who's getting that?
Right.
It makes me question that. And it's something I typically do, but now I want to know more about how that's handled.
Well, fortunately, this article only mentions those three as being the problem children that are doing this. There were some that used to. So Instacart used to include delivery drivers' tips as part of the guaranteed rates.
Until they got called out on it?
And they
or-
got called out on it, yeah. I think they stopped that they reversed that policy in February. So up until fairly recently, they were screwing them too.
Wow.
But it's kind of, in a way, I see this as kind of heartening, because now that they're getting put on blast, everybody else is like, oh crap, I better stop doing this.
Yeah,
they
it's
got
kind of like
caught.
a check and balance kind of thing, I guess.
Kinda.
Well, kind of. I'm not saying it is exactly. But this makes me wonder, like, okay, so when we're talking about ride-sharing apps, right? Like, if you were sitting in the car, do you think it would be weird to ask the driver, like, hey, if I tip you, is this going to go to you? Like, that's a cool thing. Not a cool thing to ask, but I guess to verify, like, I'm going to tip you 15% of this drive because you're awesome, or like 20% or whatever. And it's like, is this going to go to you?
So, okay, if you ask them that and they say, nope, it goes to the company and it goes as part of my minimum salary that I'm guaranteed. Right?
Then you'd have to.
So
sign up to it.
what do? Do you not tip the guy and then he doesn't make his minimum salary, or
You tip him in cash.
or
That's it.
yeah, or what do you do here? I guess it's how you ask the person. Like I'm trying to do the best thing for you, bud. Tell me how this thing works.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, too. Like, if you don't tip them through the app, then it's not going to get added to their hourly whatever then either.
Well, it won't, but then the company will cover it. So doing it in cash is that is definitely the superior one. If you tip in cash, they get it, they put it in their pocket, and we're done with it.
So service providers, I don't know. I don't use those kind of services very often, and I typically don't have cash. Is the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also don't have cash.
Same here. So all four of us, right?
So for me, then, like, the answer, if you're in that position where you don't have cash, then just don't use Caviar.
But
Don't tip on Amazon.
how is it working in general? Because, for instance, when I was in Canada and I was paying with my credit card,
Yeah.
and they asked me 15, 20, 25%,
Yeah.
and I pick, is it transferred to the employee right away, or is it again the same? Like it goes to the actual company bank account, and then they decide who gets tipped what?
So
Same in Vegas, I guess.
with Postmates, at least, your pay is divvied out at the end of the week, or like it's a weekly thing. So you'll see, or I think you might be able to cash out daily. I now I can't confirm that, but it's not like a 2-week or monthly thing. So
I think she's saying if you go to like Outback Steakhouse, if you go to
Yeah, like
a
restaurant,
in general,
yeah.
like who does the boss have something to say about the tips in general anyways, because it's not just the delivery services. you tip everywhere,
Yeah.
and you're not tipping in cash everywhere.
Right.
So who decides who gets what?
So there was something about that recently. Didn't it come down like it went to a court decision where these restaurant employees were their business, their manager was keeping their tips and basically doing exactly the same thing, was putting that towards their minimum wage to get them up to $7.25 an hour, because the princely sum of $7.25. But they were using that, and I thought there was a court case that came out recently, but I don't remember how that came down. Generally speaking, it does go to the waiter.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they'll pool all of it together, and they'll split it from there.
So my second job ever was Panda Express. Shocking. Maybe not.
You had some connections there, did you?
I had some connections at Panda Express, but so you'd have the tip jar by the cashier, by the cashier, and at the end of the night, you would dump the jar and split it between whoever was on the front line that day. Yeah. So that was how.
Screw over the dishwasher. I see. Plan.
So there's it probably was,
Panda Express.
So there was that, but then also in the casino industry. The dealers are also pulling their tips. So you tip the dealer, but at the end of the night, they're pulling all of that and splitting it among who was there that night.
I'm not sure I like this. I would like to give my money to someone, and that someone can just put it in their pocket, and no one has any.
I like that too, right? Because you're tipping somebody based off of their service to you, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, like
I don't want
I wasn't
riders.
I wasn't a dealer. I was in surveillance, so I didn't get tipped. I'd like to get tipped for busting you for counting cards. I guess. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that's just how it was.
Okay.
I'm not saying it was right or wrong. It was just that's kind of how it was. At least back 5-6 years ago.
So actually, we got something from the live stream. So one of our viewers says, "Trust me, we love you more. It's immediately available to us service people, because otherwise we have to either get cashed out at the end of the night or it goes into a paycheck. And not all establishments cash out at the end of the night." He says he's a bartender and tip cash.
Tip cash.
Cash. Cash is king.
Cash is king.
Said.
So, speaking of the live stream, in case anybody who is here is not in the live stream, we do have Discord. Go to Greynoise, GREYNOI.se. There will be a link there to join our Discord so you can chat with us live in the live stream channel. We are in there all week, though, so it's not just on the show when we're chatting. We're chatting there all week. We hang out. You could have discussions with us, and maybe a topic that you suggest will end up in the show the next week. So,
yeah.
I wonder if they could do something like a QR code to go to a Cash App account,
or like a Venmo, or like a Square Cash, or
or something like a Square Cash or a Cash App. So
that would work.
So you could just scan that and say, okay, here's a $5 tip from a Cash App.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the night, they would just be able to cash that out to everybody. Nobody actually has to touch it. Just goes up.
Would this be an issue where, or not an issue, but would this be an occurrence where like technology kind of brought the problem and then technology is going to fix it?
That's the way it works.
Yep.
I don't think
In this example, the QR code example.
You don't
I
think
don't think technology brought the problem.
No.
People
who manage the
you're
system
right. People who
brought-
manage the system brought the problem.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's a good point.
I'll step that one back. You're right. So again, though, maybe technology is going to still be that rock, paper, scissor.
Can I just ask, do you have to declare your tips? Like, do you get taxed
Yes.
on them?
Yes, you do.
Ah, that sucks.
Well, you're required by law to tell the government how much cash you got in your hand at the end of the night.
Okay.
And if you don't write down the right number, nothing will happen ever. But you should definitely
that's what I like to hear.
definitely
Well,
do it.
It comes out to like, is it worth their time and money and effort to go after you?
No.
And so if it's a couple of $1,000s and it's going to cost them a couple of tens of thousands, they're not going to do it. But if you're like,
But if you're
one of
tipped like
these
the Wolf
guys
of Wall Street,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, man, this dude got tipped like $10 million. What the fuck?
if you're in some form of entertainment industry in this town, you can make upwards of $100,000 a year.
Yep.
And that's a lot of tips.
That's a lot of tips.
Yeah, and they might be interested in those.
Dude,
Different kinds
there
of
were a
tips.
lot of like, no, seriously.
And
in
only
this
for a
town-
second.
Yeah,
Oh,
in
God.
Las Vegas, if you're a cocktail waitress, if you're a dealer or whatever, you'll, especially if the housing market is good, you'll walk away with like a 3-story house sometimes. Like when your tips are good and when the market is good, you have a very nice house. I've seen so many examples of that where like the pool's in the backyard.
Yeah, they end up with a whole cul-de-sac at some point.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. But
We had another good point from the live chat. The worry is that depositing that money, it then shows up if you get audited, which means that you should claim it.
So don't even deposit into your bank account.
If you deposit it to your bank account,
keep it in a mattress, y'all.
Local Bitcoin.
Or Bitcoin, sure.
Bitcoin. Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of Bitcoin, though, nice segue, right?
Oh.
So the IRS is trying to crack down on Bitcoin and maybe other blockchain cryptocurrencies. Wow, a buzzword. Let me just finish this whiskey.
Yeah, right. Shit.
No,
there was a blockchain in there, wasn't there?
So, yeah, there was.
Yeah, and water.
We are really drinking. Okay, awesome. Well, you're drinking water. I don't think that counts. It's tea. So yes, the story is that the IRS is working towards cracking down on your capital gains on Bitcoin. So, of course, I'm not surprised. I knew this was going to be kind of coming because it's the IRS. Why not? Any thoughts on this?
Okay, this is a weird question. How do you count the money I gained? Like, do you pick a date like 1st of January 2016 to 1st of January 2019? Here's how the market moved between those two dates? No,
it's property. It's the same thing as like buying a house or any other thing to be considered property. What your purchase price was and what your sale price was.
So if I don't sell it,
right, you don't owe any tax until you sell it.
Boom.
So you can just set
moving everything to Bitcoin.
So you're going to move everything to Bitcoin and not ever take it out.
No coming back.
Yep.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you could do that. So yeah, it's capital gains, which means you purchased at a purchase price and a sale price. They're looking at about 13,000 accounts that they're going to send letters to, and I guess they're able to track. One thing about Bitcoin, it's on a ledger. You can look at the ledger.
Yeah.
So you know when it was purchased by, what if you are the one that owns his wallet, you know when the money entered the wallet, you know when it exited the wallet.
Yeah.
And you can say that person owes taxes on that money.
So you might know this better than me. But I remember, Bitcoin's a new thing. Oh, yay. Silk Road. Yay. We're going to buy drugs on the internet with Bitcoin. Hooray.
Yeah, that worked out well for everyone.
Yeah. So there's my question. How in the hell did they think that was a good idea when your Bitcoin wallet has a ledger of when the money came in and when it left out? Like, there's a paper trail there. Why would...
So you'd have to be able to intersect that trail.
Okay.
So you got to find it and then track it backwards. So
okay.
I find you were doing some nefarious act and you have Bitcoin in your wallet, and then they can take that trail from your wallet and figure out who you've done business with and then look at that trail. So they can track it back once they encounter the trail.
Right.
Or there's probably ways to be able to go through that ledger to be able to see like all of the transactions, and there are certain keys that they would be looking for. Because not every day somebody hands somebody $60,000,
right.
For in Bitcoin for no reason,
right?
And so that's how they got that's how FBI became like the #1 Bitcoin holder for a long time. They ended up auctioning it off, but because they were they confiscated Bitcoin as they found these criminal organizations.
Sure. Well, and then once they have that Bitcoin, they can then trace that.
Right. Well, all they need to know is that this guy was up to no good.
Yeah.
He did business with these people across Bitcoin, and they can look at those trails, and then it just keeps expanding out from there.
So you get one dude, and before you know it,
all you need is one.
Yeah.
That's why the drug business is really hard to manage, because you're relying on drug users.
You're not wrong there.
Hey, drug user, don't fucking tell him anything about the fucking shit that just happened today.
But like, why did they think that wasn't going to get them caught?
Because technically, just the address of your wallet is not linking you to your identity. Now you have know your customer policies. So if you go to any platform, they will ask you to upload your passport, a secondary piece of ID,
a whole bunch of identifying
and a
information.
real bank account. Exactly. But earlier you didn't have to
She's
do
right.
this.
Yeah. So it was all beforehand. It was like all anonymous and all this stuff. But now you're right.
Yeah.
It's, in order for you to open up a wallet nowadays, it's like, yeah.
It's a pain in the ass.
Any transition wallet that you can do, like you're going to convert Bitcoin to a currency,
Right.
Yeah, and you're going to know your customers like worldwide, and so yeah, they're going to find you as soon as you start changing it to real money. You kind of think about it, it's like, is the bank robbed if you didn't take any money, right?
Right.
And so that's what happens is they take the currency, like you at some point you need to change it into something other than Bitcoin, and that's where they get you.
Yeah. So couldn't you just convert it into a different type of
Currency.
Now
Gift
you're,
cards.
currency.
Gift
Yep.
cards.
now you're conspiring to money launder.
Oh, I would never do such a thing. Don't ever do that.
We never did this.
Right.
Never did that.
Right.
So you could change from like Dogecoin to Ethereum or whatever.
Yeah, just all those transaction fees at the end of the day.
But
And
I mean,
You can buy your stuff in cryptocurrency and then just never have the money. You would just have a lot of stuff, right?
Right.
the buying part's not the problem.
Yeah, I know.
It's
No,
the
I know.
selling
It's the,
part.
it's the capital gains part. But that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like, keep all that asset in cryptocurrency in there until you can use it to acquire other types of assets.
So you just buy and sell Ferraris.
So
Sure, if that's what it is. Right now it's like currently $10,000 an ounce.
I'm
Or,
just
sorry, a
wondering
Bitcoin.
how you confiscate bitcoins. Like, don't you have passwords everywhere? Don't you, like, that was the point, right? That what I own unless you have my key. So how did the FBI actually own the bitcoins? Like,
So
if you come into my house and
Yeah.
you storm it and you're like, give me your bitcoin.
mhm.
It's not that they would say, "Give me your Bitcoin," but they would acquire your hard drives that had these transactions on it.
Okay, but you still need my key.
They'll get it.
They'll get it, okay. Okay.
You ever read XKCD?
No.
It's a stick figure comic that is very, very intelligent.
So
right,
yeah,
right,
they'll
right.
never break this encryption. They go, here's a $5 wrench. Go hit them in the head until they tell you what the encryption is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry.
So, rule: everybody talks. It just depends on at what level, but everybody talks.
Okay.
So, any further thoughts on that?
No.
No. Cool. Okay.
Well,
so-
yeah.
oh no,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
No, it's just, again, cash.
Cash.
Yeah, I guess that's tonight's episode, right? Cash is king.
Yeah.
At least for the first two stories, right? Well, okay. So our
Cash rules everything around me.
cream.
It is.
Okay, right. I knew somebody who got that tattooed on their neck.
I'm
Not cash
else,
rules everything around me.
But
By the way,
cream.
he wasn't a friend. I just knew who he was.
But cream.
Yeah, he got cream tattooed on his neck. Like,
No.
all right, dude. I don't know if that was like the greatest thing you could have done.
Have you checked in with him lately?
No. I don't actually particularly care about this individual, but I do know that he exists and that the tattoo cream on his neck exists.
Just dribbling down his chin.
Oh, nobody can hear you, but I got the joke.
All right.
right,
It's for the
so-
benefit
so
of all
did he.
that they can.
What was that?
So did he.
Oh, okay.
Can't hear him.
All right, so our third story isn't actually about cash, and it's kind of interesting because Zenify is actually on production tonight, and I wanted to talk about the SpaceX launch because today I learned that it took. Okay, so the SpaceX launch was yesterday at, what was it, 3 in the afternoon?
Mhm.
4 in the afternoon,
Yeah.
right?
About 3.
Okay, so I didn't realize it, but they're not going to land at the International Space Station until tonight at 2 in the morning, or like 2 a.m.
Dock.
3 a.m. They're not going to dock
They dock.
until 3 a.m. So.
They are going to dock at 3 a.m.
Right, they are going to dock at 3 a.m. So I didn't realize that it took that damn long.
Well, you just can't.
It's huge, and it's fine. It's
They are
fine.
going to space.
I mean, I don't know if there's like a time delay here or just if I'm not understanding, but okay, yes, I understand that they're going to space. But the way I understand it is, okay, space station. Okay, I'm not a scientist. I think
That is clear.
Yeah, that is very clear. I'm not a scientist. I don't ever claim to be a scientist. The closest thing to science that I ever do is like maybe data analytics. I can't even call myself a data scientist. I think Lex, you're the closest thing that I know to a
What?
scientist on this
What?
panel.
Who are we talking
No,
about?
well, I'm not saying you're a space astronaut, but sorry, the whiskey's
That's a new
the
one.
whiskey's hitting me.
She's not a rocket surgeon, okay?
Yes, exactly.
You know.
No, but when I thought
do
about
you
like
know?
things launching into space or launching into low Earth orbit, I thought like, okay, it's gonna go in this direction and then it's just gonna continue to
Duck
fall
like this?
around the world forever. Orbit, right?
It's
Yeah.
so you want your approach speed to be fairly slow.
Right, I understand.
You don't want
Okay.
the car crash in orbit,
Yeah.
right?
You're right.
And so, it takes a while at that slow velocity to merge into that lane. You got to think about it. It's
Right.
orbiting a lane, and they're injecting a rocket capsule into that lane. And so you want it to kind of merge slowly into that lane and catch up to it at a low speed. Because that's pretty much what it is. You're catching up to that rocket, to the space station with a rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, you want it to, you're injected into that orbit at a speed that's just a little bit faster than what the space station is, and just slightly behind it. And that's why the cutoff was like instantaneous. Like we either went at this second with this velocity, or
done.
we wait until tomorrow when it's back overhead again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is. That's why it takes so long, is because you're coming up behind them at
Right.
like 4 miles an hour.
Well, relatively, it's 4 miles an hour.
Right.
But of course, you're going like what, 750 miles an hour or more around the Earth or whatever it is. I don't know my
Way
math.
faster.
Yeah.
16,000 kilometers.
There you go. I was way off. So
I'm
sue me.
lost. I'm lost. My.
No. So I get it. So we're talking about relative speed to the International Space. I don't know. For some reason, I just never thought about that. I've never put two and two together, being all like, oh, okay, so they launched yesterday and they'll make it there in 48 hours. I don't know. I didn't think about it.
Yeah, just got to take a lot of snacks with you.
So, but I mean, everything that you just said,
Lots
like,
of tang.
no. So
Oh, you remember that stuff?
Yeah.
Did you ever eat it?
Oh, it's amazing.
No, I don't think I have.
I had Tang a couple times.
You ever
Yeah.
put it on ice cream?
I never did that. Holy shit.
Really?
Huh.
Tang on ice cream. Wow.
Sounds really good.
used
Today I
to put-
learned.
I used to put Tang in milk. Oh, it's awesome.
Wait.
Tang,
How
no.
do you spell it?
Tang. T-A-N-G.
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 N-G.
Tang.
Tang. Yeah, that was actually invented by NASA.
Oh.
Oh, the look on your
orange
face.
juice thing.
Yeah, but it's a dry orange juice
Yeah.
concentrate, and you just add it to water. What?
It's
Really?
an orange drink.
Orange drink. Sorry, not orange juice.
There
It's
ain't a bit of
orange
juice
drink.
in that.
Yeah, you're right. Wait, why is that disgusting?
Because it
'Cause it
really
is.
looks like it's not good.
I don't remember Tang being disgusting.
That's because you were a kid just like
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I also like Sunny D and purple drink.
It's
What?
the finest chemicals that America could
Yeah.
combine in the
I
70s.
used to,
Like,
yeah, I used to put the Tang and the Nestle
60s.
Quick together in the milk.
Oh no.
Now that's terrible.
Oh,
Chocolate
no.
orange.
I
come on.
reject and
Oh
announce
no, you guys should
all
come
of
to
this.
Europe. We don't.
Do you know?
Send
Okay,
it back.
so,
Send it
stop
back.
that.
Wait. you-
So wait, quick side thing here. For the majority of my adult life, until the time I was 35, something like that, I had confused at a very early age Vegemite and Nutella.
Wait, did your parents lie to you? Like,
No,
hey,
no,
this is
no,
what-
no.
So which way did that go? Which
The
one did
bad
you-
way.
Oh,
The bad
no.
way. No. So I finally get this opportunity to go to London with my boss, and we're sitting down at our hotel, and he's like, "Hey, you want some Nutella?" I'm like, no, because Vegemite's freaking disgusting. And he smears it on this croissant. He's like, "Are you kidding me? It's delicious. You like chocolate, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, but that doesn't taste anything like chocolate." He's like, "I don't think you try this." I'm like, "All right." And I tried it, and I was like, "Oh my god, I've wasted my life."
Oh, I thought you were going to like
Visualize
take a big spoon of Vegemite.
No.
That would have been the bad way.
Oh, that no.
How many-
No, the bad way is no.
Wait,
I
how many
thought-
years was this before you discovered?
I was
this?
in my 30s.
Oh god.
Nutella.
Right?
You didn't have Nutella until you were in 30.
That's what I'm saying. Because I had gotten it mixed up with Vegemite,
Yeah.
and I'd had Vegemite. and
you'd
They
have
cool.
to
don't
live-
look the
you'd have to-
same. They don't smell the same. They don't. I don't know.
They're not even spelt the same.
I never got close enough to smell it because I was just like, oh no. I
So you've been
remember that.
robbed for like 30 years.
That's
you,
what I'm saying.
You have to live to 110 just to catch up with like the time frame of
Well,
experience
if
with
he eats
Nutella.
Nutella, he's not gonna leave until 110.
That's
Trust
right.
me.
I'm
Yeah.
sticking around. I'm gonna be like a brain in a box, just like sucking on Nutella.
You know, okay, so while I think Nutella, okay, we're going like way off tangent, but like
Sorry.
while I think Nutella is amazing, you guys have heard of Uncrustables, right? Those
No.
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that are like they don't have the crust, they're like in these little circular, they're frozen in the frozen food section.
I haven't,
That
but
sounds very.
No, it's actually pretty good. So like they have the well, sure. They have peanut butter and jelly, right? And so they actually have a Nutella version of this.
So why are they frozen?
I don't know.
That's America.
That's just you get it.
Probably
then
the
you just- yeah.
What?
so it keeps
How do
longer.
you thaw it out and still have edible bread?
I don't know, but it works. It tastes like bread to me.
It's frozen bread.
I'm-
It's bread.
Ew, ew,
America.
ew.
You're forgetting. Merc.
Okay. Anyway, I know this is a tangent. All I'm saying is that the Nutella version of that,
Yeah.
not that great. Like I love Nutella, but it's not that great.
It's not meant to be frozen.
No.
Well,
Nutella is.
I still ate the
sometimes
12 pack
my
though,
mom
and I'm
microwaved
not
it.
gonna lie, I paid for it, so I ate it all.
No. I wouldn't.
Merc.
I wouldn't have
Merc,
bought
yeah.
that. You know,
I wanted to try it, just to see.
frozen peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
I support you, Chen.
Yeah,
I'm on your
you
side.
could thaw it out.
Then what?
I'm already questioning the peanut butter and jelly.
Are you
Like-
questioning
Okay, I'm gonna
the
have to-
science of food additives?
I'm gonna have to. Okay, I'm
Wait,
gonna
wait,
say this
are
now.
you questioning peanut butter and jelly in itself?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you never had peanut butter and jelly?
I don't.
Wait.
I don't. See
Wait,
How they,
he brings up a very important point.
I don't see. How
You're
they
judging
go-
my food taste, and you never. Oh, I don't know if we can continue.
You really
this
need to
conversation.
have peanut butter and jelly.
Okay.
You really
that's
should.
on my
jelly.
list.
Grape jelly. Of course, grape jelly. What other kind is there?
Grape
You'd be
jelly?
surprised what people will put on a peanut butter sandwich.
Well,
Wait, grape jelly?
Yeah.
grape jelly.
Oh my god, what did
Well-
they do to you?
Well, no.
You need to. You need to
No,
experience
you gotta
this
try it.
before you leave.
Well,
Okay.
not only that, there's,
Not the
there's-
frozen
Well,
ones.
Not the
if you
frozen
think about
ones.
this, that means she's never had a nutter fluffer.
I
What?
don't
Is
know.
it fluffer nutter?
Magic
Fluffer
words.
nutter.
Fluffer nutter, yeah.
fluffer nutter.
Fluffer nutter.
Be careful. Careful. Careful with that Google search. Careful.
Are you googling it? Oh, please do, but carefully.
Oh.
Carefully. I
Oh.
meant carefully.
It's a sandwich with peanut butter, banana, and
Mm,
I don't think she's finding this delicious.
no.
well, you like marshmallows, right? Marshmallow fluff.
There's every ingredient that we've thrown at her, like she's
Because
just like,
none of them sound like real food.
It's not.
Yeah.
No, it's
The
not.
only thing on there
No,
that's
no.
real food is bread and peanut butter. Yeah,
And even your bread is not real bread.
okay.
it's sliced.
Okay, got a question now. I got a question. So,
Okay.
Satchel, I know that you're not going to DEF CON. Lex, DEF CON happens the week after
Yeah.
for you. And we'll
Yeah.
talk about that next week.
Well, if you pay for my ticket and plane
And what, extend your
plane
visa?
ticket
And blow up?
and yeah.
God damn it. There's a lot of paperwork there, isn't there?
No.
No?
I have,
Yeah, it's printed money paperwork.
Oh, okay. Fair. Okay, so,
invite me. I'm coming.
well, if you were speaking, I think you can get like one of those, not, what kind of visas are those? Where it's like
I
a,
don't need a visa.
no, I know. I'm just saying, like, if you were to leave and then come back.
Yeah, I don't need a visa.
She
Oh.
just needs money.
I just need money.
Oh, okay.
Bring
To
me
be
the
able to fly
money.
back and stay here.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair. Okay. But that's not my question. Sorry. So my question is, not even my question, but my last vacation was earlier last year, and so I'm really looking forward to DEF CON because it's the week where I am training on,
Drinking.
aspects of the hacker world. And yes, to put it quite frankly, I will be drunk from Monday to Monday. So thoughts on using DEF CON as a training conference? And does anybody have any pushback from their employers who know what actually happens at DEF CON? Do your employers give a shit? Like if you're,
When you say no,
wait, what?
well, like, I'm pretty upfront with my employer that it's a security conference that turns into a drinking game.
Okay, and then they're like fine with it?
Yeah, but they're more concerned about what I'm going to find out at DEF CON.
So do you have to report back what you've learned? Like,
Wait,
okay.
Why is it even just a problem that you would go out?
No. So let's say, okay, example. Let's say your company is allowing you to go to this conference, or let's say it's Black Hat or whatever.
Well, if they were paying, it might be a different
Right.
scenario.
Right, and so that might be more of the Black Hat scenario. But you're going to this conference, and I mean, to the point, DEF CON is mostly on the weekend. Officially, it starts Friday. There's some stuff going on Thursday. Excuse me. Before that, though, there are some pre-cons like Black Hat and B-sides. So usually, people take that entire week off, right? So, I don't know, consensus, do we have any people who have employers who are like, okay, well, you're going to go to this conference. We expect you to learn something and report back.
Okay.
Especially if, like, for instance, you're not using vacation time and you're using time to
Company
say,
time.
yeah, like let's
Okay.
say it's training, it's whatever. So we
Mhm.
don't have to, you don't have to use your PTO, but
Right.
in return, come back with some information. Let's go with Community Mike first.
So my employer 20 years ago was very against anybody attending DEF CON because back then it was considered hacker evil, you're going to do something bad, you have a clearance, you should not go. They say that you can go, but we won't pay for it. But then in about 2007, 2008, there was a transition, and it became, oh, you're going? Good. Bring back the conference proceedings. And nowadays,
so basically, a CD with like
Yeah.
PDFs and stuff.
yeah,
which
you
is
had to
now
go buy
online.
the audio recordings, and then they would place it on a server and make it available to everybody. Nowadays, it's like, we don't care if you're going or not. So it's kind of lost its credibility.
the conference.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
what made it lose that?
I don't know. I think it's just because it's so common, and the proceedings are on the YouTube usually within 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, and it didn't used to be that way. So I remember a time where like the prior DEF CON talks were not released until maybe a month before the upcoming conference. So like you wait a whole 10 months to.
Nowadays, they'll say, why aren't you going to ShmooCon, or why aren't you going to a more security-oriented conference, or one that's more specific to your industry? Why are you wasting your time at DEF CON, which has a bunch of guys with dad bodies and their kids?
It's
I mean,
become.
if that's what you're into.
But my employer's not.
I'm not, it's fine. It's cool.
My conference, my choice, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
go ahead.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Don't ask,
No.
don't tell.
So
What happened?
my other question is, when you say
Thanks, community Mike.
Yeah,
thanks, is DEF CON a training, but a training for what? What is the pinnacle then if it's not?
Well,
DEF
see,
CON?
that's the thing. I could see community Mike's point to where like, okay, there's like 40,000 people who go now. They're all kind of going to screw off, get drunk, and just kind of hang out. I get that part. But then you also have places in the conference where, for instance, the villages, where you are learning how to solder, as we've talked about with Vic earlier. You are learning, like if you go to the wireless hacking village or the car hacking village, you are learning practical application. And it goes back to what we've said before. Like the con is what you make it. So if you want to make it a drinking game, by all means. But if you're going there for training, there's definitely training to be had. So I just didn't know if there was any input from an employer that's potentially sending you to a conference. That was my talking point.
I think if they're paying you to go, or to enable you to go in some way, like give you the time off, or pay you, they probably have some expectation of what you're going to return with, and that's pretty much up to you to kind of keep that expectation real with them. So.
Right. Community Mike.
So actually, that's partly why Black Hat, which if you're not familiar with, is more of an enterprise conference. Like most lay people don't go to Black Hat because it's super expensive, right?
It's like what, $2,500 or something?
Well, it depends.
Oh, it depends on
It
your training, right?
depends.
When you go to these labs.
Yeah.
Right.
If you just want the lectures, it's like $2,500. There's like one point I think I had a bill for over $8,000, right? And it's because you go literally from Saturday, you take a 5-day class, then you have the actual conferences, and it includes the business hall, and you can also get your DEF CON pass there as well, right? It's a really expensive conference, right? So that's why it's typically just like companies. But to put it back to DEF CON, because sometimes the popular speakers will give a presentation at Black Hat, and they're popular enough that they want them to speak at DEF CON as well. So DEF CON is more your layman's kind of conference, right? So nowadays, a smart employer, typically more the ones like in cybersecurity or familiar with it, will allow a lot of people to go to DEF CON, because if you're going to Black Hat, you might as well stay for DEF CON. And they know you're not really, well, okay, there's drinking involved, they know that, but they're like, yeah, you're a security guy. We understand, a good employer understands the value of like a con, because sometimes you're just sitting there doing like hack the badge, or you're doing some other CTF. And a lot of smart employers know that that's a good way to kind of keep minds sharp, especially for people in cybersecurity. Because if you're just going to con to party, it's like, yeah, whatever. But, a lot of the, when you're facing, when you're in a SOC, right, and you're facing other hackers, they're getting creative. You got to get creative, right? You're trying to figure out, how to be a criminal to go stop them.
It's like that neutral ground, right?
Yeah.
Like the conference is like kind of
It's
like a neutral ground.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's like a playground-ish.
It's like the bar on Deep Space Nine.
Except
don't
several
Yeah, we got some
bars.
laughs out of there. I'll say that's accurate, I guess. I've never seen
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine.
But like, say if you have a
Hate me later.
specialty in DEF CON, like say, for example, you work in the the nuclear industry or something, a specialty industry, right? Where there's something called SCADA, right? Or IoT. SCADA is a supervisory, I can't remember the exact acronym for it. But now they actually have a village and they're bringing in equipment and they're bringing stuff that you can go hack or you can learn how to hack. So there is education involved with that. Another good one that was just recently, in the past few years, was election hacking, right? Mm-hmm. They went out to eBay and a bunch of other places and they bought a whole bunch of election, machines, mm-hmm. so you could hack them and they could prove to the public, hey, these things are insecure. They're running Windows XP or whatever. And by the way, the hard drive port is exposed. Stupid things like that.
Thank God they got visibility on that, because now that problem is sorted out. We don't have to worry about that at all. Yeah. So I'm glad everything's okay now.
Actually, so I also, side note, full transparency, I will also be press at DEF CON 2. So I'll be press and speaking at the Recon Village. And the press emails are really pushing the voting booth village like hard. They're really pushing it hard. So I've never been to the vote hacking village, only because I know that it's gonna not be a cluster, but just I know that these machines are vulnerable, or else they wouldn't be there. Or just because you have 20,000 hackers looking at them, somebody's gonna pop it. So.
Physical access is access.
Well, yeah, that's physical. Exactly. Vic is right. Physical access is that. No, he's absolutely right. So will I go there as press, like to that particular village? No. Usually what I do is I'll find speakers to interview and I'll ask them about, their current talk and maybe what their current research is or what they're working on towards next year or just what they're doing in general. So
I can see them pushing that because it was the one thing that was talked about for weeks after this last DEF CON. It was something that got real traction and everybody knew what it was.
Yeah. Well, they just came out and said, the Senate just finished their investigation and they were like, they got into like 20-something states. The Russians got into several different, 20-something states.
Every single voting registry was hacked. No votes were changed.
Right.
I think it was 2 days ago, someone talked to me about votes, VOATZ, where you're supposed to, and I'm sorry, vote on the blockchain from your smartphone. And I was wondering how many things were wrong with this. How easy would it be to hack your smartphone? Just take it from your hand and just... Someone's gonna come on.
Oh, Community Mike! Okay, so new to Community Mike, you have a choice. Do you want to be on camera or not? We can cut it.
Oh, camera's fine.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. My name's Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, everybody. I'm an attorney from Oregon, actually. So I can
feel free to tip that.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, can I?
It's making me. It's triggering me.
Yeah, I know. He's bending. Sorry, guys. He's bending his back to put his. We're working on it.
Yeah, okay. I'm short, but not that short. Yes. So so this isn't legal advice, right? You got to ask a lawyer.
So you're saying you are not a lawyer?
Okay. Yeah. So anyhow, I'm really interested in the whole tipping thing. Really fascinating what's been going on, and you were saying you're wondering what is the law just with waiters and waitresses and things.
Yeah.
And actually, you're right. It's okay to be confused because I just went and did the legal research, and the law has gone back and forth twice since 2010. And just in 2018, with restaurant servers nationally, this changed again. And so right now, restaurants, my understanding, just personally, I'm not an expert in this area. I do IP, intellectual property usually. That restaurants can force servers to pool their tips with the kitchen, tipping out, which is a really interesting thing. In a way you don't own those tips necessarily, right? Kind of wild. And then, secondly, the other thing that servers don't like is they call it a tipped minimum wage, which is what's going on with DoorDash, Instacart.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize this. I waited tables through college, but in the Midwest, where I got paid $2 an hour. I didn't know that this was a thing, and that this would become a real national issue.
Yeah.
But and it's up to states to make that legal or not. Federally, it's legal. Turns out most Western states like Oregon and Nevada, I'm not sure, make that practice illegal, the tipped minimum wage. And it's exactly what Instacart was doing, maybe still is doing, right? Where we guarantee a minimum wage, but we'll take your tips, sort of, kind of, and you don't really get to see them.
Your tips go into whether or not we give you extra money. Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
So, but then of course it gets complicated with the Instacart, DoorDash, and all because those are contractors; they are not employees. So there, it's like business to business, a meeting of the minds, right? Of course, they contracted for that; they know what they're getting into. But that's the thing, is that they usually don't. And I've actually helped educate some Instacart delivery people who came to my door, and they're like, "Whoa, really?" And it's kind of a little shady side to what goes on.
Of course.
Hey, thanks for that research, man.
Yeah, sure. Kind of fun issue. Thanks. Good meeting you all. I really like the podcast.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Sure.
So,
yeah, DoorDash does keep it, but Instacart, I believe, does not. Instacart was one of the good ones.
well, that was after they got
They got caught.
yeah.
They got caught in February.
Oh yeah, and it just blew up, right?
Yeah. And so now Instacart doesn't do that, but Amazon, Caviar, and not Grubhub. I'm about to say the wrong people.
Caviar, Amazon. Fuck.
Hold
Was
on.
Uber fucking him over?
DoorDash.
Sorry.
DoorDash has been kind of going under the radar, right, for years.
Yeah.
But Instacart, they're a little higher profile. The subreddit has been really helpful, kind of tracking that and the movement behind it.
Front page of the internet, right?
Yes, for real.
So awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
They should all join the Wobblies.
All right, so we're gonna take that.
Solidarity.
We're gonna take that community mic as our last comment there. Normally we do the lightning round, but as we've learned in the past couple of months, or every time we do this, things have been hacked, new exploits have been made, and your information's out there.
Oh, you know what? Actually, speaking of that, so who's it? Experian?
Yes.
Oh no,
Yes.
Equifax.
Equifax.
Yeah,
Equifax has
check the site, people.
So okay,
Yeah,
let me
let's talk about that. I forgot about that. Go ahead.
ask you something. So they have a website set up where you can go and put in your last name and the heavy majority of your social security number.
Isn't it the same thing over again? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's the funny part.
Yeah.
I
don't mean funny, haha. I mean fuck. So you can either give up your information or you get the $125 in the class action lawsuit, or the settlement, isn't it?
You have to give up your information
in order to get the $125.
In order to check to see if you were part of the breach.
Right. But you're entering in because there's not that many beginnings to social security numbers.
Yeah, just 50.
It's based off of
That's
states.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
50 things that start. Yeah.
It's not that hard
Wait,
if you have the rest of it.
so what was the Equifax thing again? Because I wasn't there. I wasn't.
Okay, so are you familiar with credit reporting agencies? Like people who keep track of your credit, do you know credit scores, right? Like
Yes.
700, 650, 800, whatever. So there's three major numbers. Yeah, numbers. We're not doing math though. These are just scores, right? Keeping score.
Somebody else is doing the math.
Exactly. So there are three major credit bureaus, at least in the United States. There's Experian, there's Equifax, and then there's TransUnion. So what is this now? 2 or 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
I think 2.
So 2 years ago, Equifax had a major security breach, and basically 140 million Americans, or I might be doing that wrong, a lot of Americans, essentially half of Americans were part of this breach. So now the people who have this information have your credit score, they have your social security number, basically all this identifying information. So now comes around, you have this choice. In order to get $125 as a settlement or as a RBAD type of payment, you have to re-give your information, last name, and of course
the majority
of your social security number. So to your point, yeah, it's kind of happening all over again. Do we trust Equifax to maybe learn from their lesson and be more secure?
No.
It's a rhetorical question, but yes, no.
What is $125? It sounds like ridiculous to me.
So there was a certain amount of millions of dollars that was Equifax was set aside to compensate people for this breach, and if you allocate that out across the number of people that were affected by this, it's about $125 a person.
But that's ridiculous.
Well, so
whatever information is
that was the first of it. So if you don't claim this $125, you can't participate in the ongoing class action suit. So there's more money out there to be had.
Unless you settle for the $125.
No, you're not settling. No? It's part of you. You have to claim it, and part of.
You're putting your how do you say it? You're putting your stake in the game. You're
saying
roll
I'm,
call.
I'm in this.
Yeah, it's like
I was
roll call.
damaged.
I was
Basically, what you're
damaged.
saying is this: I was damaged
Yeah.
by that.
Yeah.
And that website, I believe, is actually ran by the agency doing the class action suit. So
wait, so because I'm still, it doesn't make sense. So I'm going on the website,
It doesn't.
and I'm like, oh, I can take my $125, and that puts me in the class action to
Right.
sue them even
it
more.
allows yes.
Yes.
So they're giving me free money to get more money after.
Well-
I mean, free? No, not free for that.
Well,
It was a federally mandated compensation that they said, you need to
You
put.
have to. Okay.
Yeah. So it's
So if you do the math, no, we're not doing the math. But if you at home want to do the math, I remember now. It was 148 million Americans, so 148 million. Let's say all of them participate, $125 each. There's your total amount of whatever was federally mandated.
And-
So,
Okay.
and that's just to participate in whatever the next steps may be. So, are you gonna be putting in your last name in social?
I don't know.
No, I will say, like, for my own sake, I check my credit score through Credit Karma like daily.
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't update daily, but it's a
It
habit.
just makes you feel good.
It's a habit, just to make sure that maybe if there was something going on, I'd catch it within a couple of days, or I don't know.
So
What the fuck are you gonna do? You're fucked anyway.
because we don't have this in France and other countries in Europe, I don't think so. But so that means if I want to buy a car, I'm gonna go to Equifax and tell them prove to the car company that I am a good.
your lender or the loan for the car is going to ask Equifax, and I believe there's 4 other ones out there that they can query and say, what kind of credit history do you have?
Okay.
Can we make this loan in good faith? So basically, they have this rating system.
It's a rating system.
right.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a credit viability rating system.
Okay.
So-
Basically, they maintain that.
And so for Equifax and others to make this rating, you give them access to your bank account and to your history.
No.
It's not that you
No,
give them
they
access
just-
to your bank account; they kind of just take it.
Well, so whenever
Not to your
you-
bank account, but like to your payment history, right? So like
Right.
when you make a payment to a credit card like Visa, MasterCard,
Yeah.
they as a company report to these bureaus. So it's not like
You don't have to give Experian anything. Like
They'll
if
get
you,
it
if you
from-
don't pay your electric bill one month and it goes into collections, the collections company will go to Experian and say, "Hey, we didn't get paid for this. You should."
and so
Take
it's
away a gold
reported.
star.
It's reported on your behalf.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you pay Equifax and others too.
No,
No, you don't pay.
You don't pay?
You don't pay. It's just there. And so when you when you want a loan for a car, it's kind of subject to what they have on record for you. You don't pay
So
anything.
you can't
You do.
opt out of Equifax and others?
No, you can lock it. You can lock it to where queries can't be. You can lock it to where they can't. No new credit lines can be opened. And basically, that's what they report back. So
Right.
That's all you can do is ever lock it.
You could lock your credit. Yeah. So you're right. Do you have to pay for that for
Yep.
locking? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you have to
Both
pay to
directions-
lock it.
Both directions, yeah.
Oh, what a racket.
locking and unlocking. Oh God.
We have a little bit of a fact check here.
No, not anymore.
Oh, not anymore.
Yeah, they killed that.
So you can lock
They
it.
were forced- Yeah, so if you went out there, right, after Equifax, I think TransUnion too, you can put a pin. Now, they tell you, if you lose that pin, you're fucked, right? Because they're expecting that you already lost all the information. So how they distinguish you from some dude or hacker that bought or criminal that bought all the same information.
Thank you for changing that word.
So you went, and they have to go in first before a criminal does and get a pin. You now have to stash that pin.
Mm-hmm.
You lose that pin, now they have no other way to validate it too.
Wow.
But that's free. They were charging. I think Equifax or at least TransUnion, both were for unlocking and locking. And then one of the two or both wiped that out and said, no, all right, we're not going to do that to you guys.
Huh. Did they have a change of heart? Probably not. It was probably some other reason.
They were like, it's probably cheaper for us to just do that rather than to take the hit publicly.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
public.
because we already suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
So thank you for that fact check. So yeah, there's some more news for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll
Sorry,
end on that. No,
Yeah,
no, that was a good story. I completely forgot that. But we'll end on that note. So, as you can tell, we've run out of time, and even at the last minute, we've never run out of shit to say.
I'm here to help.
So join us again next. Yeah, thank you. Join us again next week, where we will still be here at 7:30 p.m. on a Friday night at Sin Shop, 1075 American Pacific Drive, Suite C in Henderson, Nevada. The address is, I just said it. Go to sinshop.org. And for information on the stuff that we do here, the 3D printing classes, the lockpick night coming up, go to meetup.com/sinshop. And for information on us, go to Greynoise, GREYNOI.SE. We'll see you next week. And then I'll see you at DEF CON because you will be at my talk, right? You will be at my talk, right?
No, too early in the morning. Everyone will be hungover.
It's Friday. You're not hungover till... No, she's probably right.
You gonna do a teaser for next week?
No.
Okay.
I did it last week. But anyway, we'll see you next week. My name is Master Chen.
I'm Lex.
I'm Vic.
And I'm Richard Satchel.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.